There we are. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the channel. Oh, I need to look. Is my sound is working? Okay, cool. Now all of a sudden this just started, and I just got a pop up from YouTube already going, yeah, the whole stream is out of sorts. I'm like, how can I be out of sorts? I just started it. Welcome, Dwayne. Welcome, Kenya. Welcome. So tonight we're gonna paint my little Josephine over here. I've got kind of an idea how I want to do this, and I'm gonna jump right into it. I should say before we get into it, I'm using an older piece of paper, but this is Arches paper, 140 pound. This is from an art class that I had a long time ago, and I've pre-drawn Josephine on here. I think if she were going to match up on the reference photo, she'd be kind of like this. I put her along the top to give her more of a vertical alignment, horizontal alignment to go with my paper. And I'm going to do something I don't normally do a whole lot, and that is I'm going to paint the entire page. I'm just going to get a nice light wash on the entire page here, because there's quite a bit of Josephine that I want to get in color to start with. I don't want it like her white paws, the white of her shoulder. I don't want it to be strictly white, so I want to get a little bit of color on there, and I'm just going to add a little bit of color onto that going forward, and we'll let that dry. And it'll just make me feel better that it's not blazing white, and so when I look at it, it's gonna hurt my eyes. If something's gonna hurt my eyes, I'm gonna allow that to be my artwork and not the white of the page. Something that I have control over. And there we go. Just quickly like that. Some people are going to say, well, you paint a color like that on the background, and that gives you a nice color harmony throughout. I'm not convinced that's necessarily true, but you know, she takes up 3/4 of the sheet here, or at least two-thirds of the sheet here, and the base color of her is white anyways. I want to get some color on there so it's not blindingly white to start with. As I say that, I'm going to pull a little bit of color off of a couple of her areas of her paws here that need to be just a bit whiter, but that's okay. All right, cool. That's all I want to do. Okay, I didn't even say this. I just jumped right in. Okay. Ooh. Oh, Sadique is here. Welcome, Sadique. And Beverly, you made it. Welcome. You're saying, whoo, you made it. You made it in plenty of time. Plenty of time. All I've done is just basically knock the white off of this page. I don't want the white. I have a thing. It's my own thing. Is that I don't like whites to be white. White is so strong and so harsh. I wanted it to be a little bit more muted than that, so all I did was put a really light wash of some yellow ochre on here. Let's see. The paper, anybody who wasn't here before, the paper is Arches paper. It's 140-pound paper. It's cut in a weird size. The size is this way because this is from an art class of mine that I took. Well, I spoke about it last week. And I would cut the paper down, cut it down, so I could use as much of it as possible to do my assignments. And I wouldn't have to pay $1 million for paper, but it would suffice for everything that we were doing. On my right hand side over here are my M-gram paints, and if you're looking on a larger screen, you'll probably see I've refilled a couple of my bays over here. I've run out. I need to reorder some of my paints. If you don't have one, the little crimper tool that you use to roll these up in makes that little crinkle on there. Crinkle, 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 and you roll it right up the side. It really does a great job of squeezing paint out for you. But I've run out of a number of paints. I'm going to have to reorder a few. So be it. That's how it goes, I suppose. Let's see. What else can we talk about? While I'm waiting for this to dry out, I should say, it's hot in the studio here. I don't know what the temperature is anywhere else in the country here or externally where anybody else might be watching. If I step outside the studio, it is a nice cool 65 degrees. I don't know, but here in the studio, because it's part of my garage and there's no heating or air conditioner out here, and it just sits in the sun and bakes all day. It's a balmy 82 degrees in the studio and quite warm. Quite warm. I wish it was quite a bit less warm than it is. We're going to deal with it. Soldier on, as they say, and deal with it. I'm going to mix up a little bit of green while I'm waiting for this to dry a little bit. She's laying on a blanket. Yikes, too hot. Way too hot. Can you... I live about a mile from the Pacific Ocean, and the hottest days we ever get here, like ambient temperature, the hottest days we ever get are, I don't know, mid-70s, something like that. So when I come into the studio and it's in the 80s, boy, it seems like it's about 1 million in here. I mean, literally feels like it's 1 million. Ty, Paintbox Life is here. Hello, welcome. I don't know that I've seen you here before. Welcome. I'll give you a quick primer of everything. The primer, it's pretty simple. It's a pretty nice group here that hangs out on Wednesdays, and we love to talk paint, paper. Paint, paper, and brushes. I'm willing to answer just about any question you might have about myself or my experience or my knowledge of anything. So if you've got a question about something, please throw it out there. I would love to take a shot at answering it. And if I don't know the answer to something, I'll bet you somebody else out there will know. And if you don't ask questions, or you don't do anything more than say hello, that's fine too. I appreciate the fact that you said hello. But I do these because I enjoy the interaction from them, so I would encourage you just to get involved and to say something. I am going to ask Ty. I'm pronouncing it Ty. I hope that's right. Where are you located? Where are you watching at? There's no requirement to watch in any specific area or anything like that. I'm just kind of curious. Got a few people from all over the place, and just kind of curious where you're at. And then you've got paint box life there. You must be a painter. Do you paint watercolors, or do you paint something else? Again, just curious, just a question. Carlos is here. Hello. Tia. Okay, Tia, aunt in Spanish. And you're in Oregon. Okay, cool. Awesome. We're the guy who went to school in Oregon, and he absolutely loved it. I was going to say, have I been to Oregon? Oh, I don't know that I've been to Oregon in a million years. I think it was there a long, long time ago. Welcome to Michael's Marauders. Hold on a minute. We got to come up with something a little better than a marauder. Although I don't know, a marauder. Okay, all I'm doing, I'm stalling. This is the part where I stall. So you've seen me do it a million times. I put a layer of paint on something. It just so happens this time I put it on everything. I put a layer of paint on it. And then I've got to stall and wait and figure out what to do and what to talk about until this gets sufficiently dry that I can move on. And it's hanging around. It's a little extra wet here. I'm assuming it's pretty humid today. It's humid from me sweating in here, probably. It is pretty warm. Let's see what else is going on today, if anything. I don't know. I feel like I'm saying this all the time. This has turned out to be another vacation day for me. I've got so much vacation. I've got two and a half months of vacation waiting for me to use. I have to use it somehow. I don't have to use it all at once or anything like that. So I've been slowly burning down my vacation and taking a couple of extra days here and a couple of extra days there. And today, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week are some vacation days for me. Very excited about that. I love my vacation time. It's funny, my view of vacation has changed a little bit. I used to be like, I don't need to take vacation. I don't want to take vacation. I like my job. I like the people I work with. I like going into work. This doesn't have anything to do with anything, but once I started using some vacation time, I'm like, you know what? This is actually pretty nice. It used to be, by the way, this is a little bit of quinacridone rose here. If you're curious about the colors I'm using, they're listed down right there, rolling through, and they go, I think they start phthalo green, olive green. Yeah, they start here at yellow ochre and work their way up and over and back down. So you'll be able to see which colors I use. I have basically my yellows, my reds, blues, greens, and neutrals. That's how I've divided up my paint box there. I don't know. That's about all I'm going to say about that. Anyways, this is Josephine. Let me let you get a A little bigger look at Josephine. There she is, my little Josie cat. And I don't know, we got Josie at the shelter many, many, many years ago. I had a very large cat named Ramses the Great. When I moved out to California, I had him. He was getting up in age, and when we moved up to where I'm at now on the central coast of California, like I said, he was getting up there in age, and about 2 years after we were here, he passed. And as a replacement cat, we went to the shelter and picked up a kitten, and that kitten was Josephine. And Josephine immediately chose me as her person, and I think I think that was about it. I don't think we were apart anytime I was home, much of any length of time. She would snuggle right up next to me at night. She'd lay down on the couch next to me. She would have come out and walked around the yard, I think, if I would have allowed her to. She was a pretty nice cat. She was a little cuckoo crazy. They say Calicos have kind of a split personality, and with Josephine, they may have been right. She was a little cuckoo, but that's okay. And she did not like one of the other cats we had very much. The other cat's name was Gracie. She was gray, so we called her Gracie. And a funny story about Gracie, my youngest. So Gracie was found on the street. I found her in Long Beach, California. Very sweet cat. I took her in, even though I had a couple of cats. They used to call me the cat whisperer, and all the cats used to like me, and everybody's cat would come around to me and everything like that. I guess I'm now more of a chicken whisperer than a cat whisperer, but that's okay. Oh, Patty. Hello, Patty. Nice to see you. She's adorable. Love her nose. Her nose was so funny. Adorable, I think, is a fantastic term for it. Anyways, Gracie came up here and with me, and was just kind of a whatever happens kind of a cat. She didn't worry about too much, and I think it bothered Josephine that she didn't worry about it, but she would chase Josie around, or she would chase everybody around, really. Josie would. One day I came out from the back bedroom and came into the front, and my youngest is standing up behind the couch, hands on the couch like this, and I'm like, you look about you look about a half a foot taller than you should be. And I walk around the back side of the couch, and Finn is standing on top of Gracie. Gracie's laying on her side, purring away, and little feet standing on top of her. Ay, ay, ay. That's not a Josie story, really. That's just a funny cat story. Weird, funny cat stuff that takes place at my house. But Josie was great, and she was with us for about 10 years or 12 years. Maybe a little bit longer than that. Somewhere in there. And like I said, she chose me, and was a little overly jealous of things, and I never worried about it. When I was there, she was always very well behaved. I think the problem was when I wasn't there, she maybe wasn't quite as well behaved as she should be. And that got her into a little bit of trouble. But that's okay. What's life without a little bit of trouble in it, right? Kind of takes some of the fun out of it. But Josie was fantastic, and then she ended up getting hurt in chasing the other cats. Fractured her back leg, and she was already older. And sorry, Josie, that was kind of it for you. A sad day for everybody in the house, especially for me. A lot of tears, a lot of crying. I should also say, I don't have a picture of her to paint. Well, I do have a picture of her to paint. She's in a baby, what do you call it? A bounce chair, one of the chairs that go boing, boing, boing like this. The pug that we used to have, I've got a picture of her that I might paint next week if she's in a baby bounce or whatnot. Anyways, Lulu, towards the end of her life, didn't hear very well and didn't see very well. Didn't breathe very well either, for obvious reasons. But she would drive Josephine nuts because she would think she heard something. Josie would, anyway. Josie would think she heard some. I'm sorry. Lulu, my pug, would think she would hear something and start barking and yelling and bark, 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 bark. She'd stand up and look wherever she thought the noise was and start barking. It used to drive Josie and Gracie and everybody a little nuts. I thought it was adorable myself. She's just doing dog things and having a good old time. But that's okay. I guess I've gotten more pets than I know what to do with. I will admit, I've had quite a few pets in my life. And again, if you see me look off to the side over here, I've got a picture of Josie blown up over here that I'm just trying to copy some lines from. I'm not probably doing the greatest job sticking exactly with her color markings, but I don't really think it's going to matter all that much. I think what's really going to make this painting and what's really going to make it look like Josephine is when we get the black on here. I think it's really going to start to look like Josephine. Jacqueline is here. Welcome, Jacqueline. Good to see you back here. I'm taking a crack at painting. This is all going to get painted. Her nose is all going to get painted black, so we can just go right on over top of that. Trying to paint my cat Josephine, my cat, my former cat. One of my previous many cats. I guess I should say it that way, Josephine. Absolute lovely, lovely cat. Let's see, she's got some orange that comes down here. How did I draw this? This kind of goes up here. Let me do this. Let me give it just a touch of some color here. Really wet on this, really wet. This needs to come up and around that way, just ever so slightly. I didn't draw that all the way in. That's okay. There's her paw. And she's got some color down here and a little bit, let's see, a little bit right up here. I'm going paint that just about like that. Dwayne, Beverly, Suduka, and everybody. Oh, hello, hello. Everybody's saying hello. Jacqueline is still unpacking. Good luck with that. Unpacking sometimes is as hard as packing. Sometimes it is. All right, and then she's got quite a bit of this tan-ish, ochre-ish color on her belly down here. Now, if you can see, I'm going to put up the reference photo here. If you can see down in the lower right-hand corner of that image, it looks pink down there. I'm not going to paint that. It looks a little pink down there, her belly. Towards the end of her life, Josephine developed a little bit of neuroticness, let's just say, and she really started licking her belly. But we're not going to put that on here. We don't need to put that on. We can remember her with her belly just the way it's going, just the way I remember it. I'll say it that way, just the way I remember it. I don't really remember her. When I think of her, I don't go, oh, she always had a pink belly, because she was constantly licking it, which she was later in life. All right, we got a little bit more to go here. Let's get some color in here, like that, and then I'm going to start. So this was just some basic block color that's in. Maybe we should have started with it, but then now we're going to come back in and we're going to do a little bit more of some shaping here. All right, we're going to start to, got a little bit here with some shadow, but this is more just to make sure her paw pops up off that page there. But we're going to start to make her, give her some darks and some lights before we add the black on here. I think that's a good way to go with this. Jacqueline says, I miss all of my cats. I'm totally with you. Let's see, if I could name all of my cats growing up. Let's see if I can do this. I started with my fan. Oh, I don't know if you guys could hear that before. I forgot to turn it down. My fan just went off over here. I started, and it wasn't even my cat, with Thomas J. Thomas J was a tiger cat. She was more of my brother's cat, and she did not like me at all. And then, let's see, then we got Oscar, and then we got Sylvester. Oscar was an orange tiger cat. And we got Sylvester. Sylvester was black and white, just like the cartoon character. And then we got a black cat. I've had a lot of black cats in my life, so be prepared to hear some black cats here. I had a black cat named Jose. Then I had a black cat named Wolfgang. Then I had a black cat named Ramses. Wait, there must be one I've missed in there. Oh, I hope there's not one I missed in there. Wolfie and Ramses were together. I got Wolfgang in 1992. Kenya, I wish our pets lived longer. I do too. Wouldn't that be nice? Would that really be nice, wouldn't it? I got Ramses in 95. And they came out to California with me. Yeah, I had both of them in Michigan. Then I came out, and then Josie, or I'm sorry, and then Gracie, and then Josie, And then, I'm sorry. Oh no, I'm sorry. Sooks was in there, and Sooks was so sweet. She was this little tiny cat, like this big. She was so small, and she was just a nice. She was a rescue cat too. She was the nicest cat in the whole world, the whole wide world, probably. So sweet. Um, and we didn't know if she was going to play. She got rescued as a little bit of an older cat, but I had a stuffed mouse. It was called a mouseltoe, and it had like a mistletoe, felt mistletoe thing on its tail, and it's supposed to be a Christmas gift. So that's the mouseltoe. And as soon as she got that, and of course it smelled like catnip, she would carry that around and have these horrible meow. It sounded like she had a day to live. But she carried that thing for years and years and years, and she'd drop it in her water and drop it in her food, and it was completely disgusting. And I can't tell you how many times I had to wash that thing out. But she loved it. Oh, I forgot all about Sooks. And then coming up here, then there was Josephine, obviously, and we have Shadow now, who's a black cat, and we have Cowboy now, who's a black cat, and Gracie was in there, and I don't know. I think that covers most of them. Like, oh my gosh, have I forgotten anybody in there? I don't know. Beverly says, I never had children, but all of your kids have paws. That's funny. Oh, Beethoven, which Eckler says, Beethoven was the oldest name. He was solid white, born deaf. I'm assuming you mean deaf. Now I was told that all pure white cats are deaf. I don't think it's strictly true, but I was told that that's a thing. Does anybody else have an all white cat? And can it hear? Someone gave me a Siamese cat for free. His name was Bingo, and he had major catitude. He lived to be 18 years old. Wow, that's fantastic. 18. Oh my Lord, that's great. Catitude. I don't deal with catitude so much anymore. Dwayne says, we had a white cat that was deaf. So, okay. Yeah, I was told, and I saw it at one point in time when I was in college. I had a friend whose husband was in a band, and the band would practice a lot. And the cat would just come in and sit down and watch band practice. And I'm like, your cat is like 3 inches in front of an amplifier. And my friend's name was Rachel. And she was like, nah, don't worry about it. She's a white cat. All white cats are deaf. She can't hear anything. And I'm like, whoa, hold on a minute. That can't be true, can it? And so far, I don't know if it's completely true, but so far I've heard stories of so many white cats that are, if not completely deaf, mostly deaf. So there might be something to it. Usually the all white with 2 different colored eyes are deaf. Interesting. Kenny says, mine are 1 yellow and 1 blue. Not a speck of color. His eyes were very pale yellow. Wow. White cats are so beautiful. Maybe not all cats. Most cats are beautiful. Oh my Lord. We just talked about all cats, and I painted Penny, and I forgot to put Penny in there. Oh, what am I doing? Penny. We got Penny during COVID. I can't leave my Penny cat out. Penny was so fantastic. Short time with us, but she was completely fantastic. I can't believe I left Penny out. All right, I'm trying just to get a little shading and a little shadowing in here. Let's give Josie a little bit of this color underneath her chin here. And I'm okay with doing some, shadow colors ish, whatever we want to call shadow colors. All right, a little neutral tint in here or something like that. I'm totally fine with that. Oh man, I'm looking up. I'm looking at my screen up there. Can you all see this? Or does this look like a giant mess to you? I hope you guys can see what I'm doing. Do I need to pull this down? If I pull this down, the camera's going to get in front of my face. But if you guys can see that better, is that better for you? What paint brushes are you using today? Jacqueline says, what paint brushes? So this first one I used to do the general wash was one of my golden maple brushes. It's a squirrel hair brush, mop brush, quill mop brush. These ones totally worn off. I've used this so many times. These are my King Art brushes. Come on, come into focus. There you go. The 90-20 series here. I like how they did this. 90-20-10, because it's a size 10 brush. Golden Tackle-On, original gold by King Art. And it says max round, but I got them because they're pointed round. I like the pointed part of them. And quite honestly, I've been completely impressed with the quality of these brushes, and I just don't want to stop using them. Simple as that. They've worked out really well for me, and I like them, and I'm gonna continue to use them for quite a while. So there you go. These are my King Art brushes. These are my King Art brushes. How's that? My King Art brushes. I'm hoping that as I paint this, I'm looking up here, over there. I'm looking, and it looks a bit of a mess what I'm doing. And I look down here, and it looks okay to me. So you guys tell me if this looks like a mess to you or not. That's okay. Kenya says that's a better view. Was too tight in there. That's okay. Too tight in. I'm willing to adjust, and nobody wants to look at my face anyways. I think you're all probably, if you're doing anything, you're watching the painting and you're listening to me as much as anything. That's okay. I'm just working on getting a few kind of shadowy areas in here. Might look a little strange at the moment. I think it's going to work out doing this. Right? Because that white is so difficult to deal with sometimes. I just want a little something on here that's going to set this off a little bit so that you know where, I'm not trying to outline necessarily, but I want you to be able to easily see exactly where the edges of everything are. All right, there we go. Come on. I think this will work out. I think it'll work out. I'm trying to figure out whether it's going to work out or not. It'll work out. Of course it'll work out. We'll make it work out somehow. Okay. And this area underneath, this is a straight neutral tint that I'm going into. That's all. Straight neutral tint. Not trying to get any other colors. That's a bit stronger than I wanted. Not trying to get any other color in here. Not trying to add a color to it or anything, a value necessarily to it. Just trying to get a little shading in here to separate some layers so that you can see when you look at this exactly where her paw is, and that her paw is kind of up in the air a little bit, right? It's standing up that little bit. I've got a hard edge there, and I want to pull that way out. We don't need any hard edges in here. At least not yet. Okay, cool. So you can start to see her paw here. That's going to take a little bit more refining. We're going to get there with that. That'll be fine. You can see her paw down here. That color underneath kind of works out. When you see me just going back over and just gently brushing like that, I've seen a bit of a hard line that I don't want to be there. I've got almost no moisture on my brush, so I can just barely skim it off as it's a little bit damp. We got. Oh, I'm looking at the numbers. We got 13 people in here right now. If you would. If you would, hold on a minute. Let's do this. Let me get that. Let me take that up a little bit. And then let me do this. Whoop. How's that? Is that better? There. Now that's out of my face, and that's bigger. I think that will... That's going to work a little better like that. I think that'll be better. Okay, let's do that. I don't like looking up and seeing that plastic of the camera right there. I got to hunch down. I got to hunch down to see it. All right, what do we need to do here? Let's see. I'm going to do this. She's got a little ring in her neck, right about there somewhere. Right, a little crease in where the fur is. Just want to barely touch this side. Barely, just enough to soften. There you go. Just that little line right there. She's still got this little bit under her chin of this ochre-y color. I'll give her a little bit, you know what, I'm going to give her just a little bit of this pink underneath her mouth here too. Just a little bit of that pink. Let's give her that. I didn't think when I was doing this that what you were going to see was not going to stand out. Let me pick her up. There you go. You see her face is starting to come to life. This down here is going to give her a little dimension to her head. A little bit. We're going to get here on some of her paws. There's still a bit of work to do there. We got a lot of hair, and quite honestly, I'm a little concerned about how I'm going to do the hair. But we're gonna figure that out. And I want to start to block in a little bit of this. I don't want to do a lot of this black, but I want to start to block in a little bit of this dark, because I think if I don't do it, I won't remember where it goes to as I'm doing some of the other painting around here. And I don't want to not put it in. Oh, look, I've forgotten some yellow up there too, or some of that ochre-y color up there. That's all right. That's okay. This comes right up to her eye. Right into here. And I'm actually trying to avoid, is she ochre or taupe colored? Great question. She is ginger. So you tell me what that color is. I would say there's definitely a reddish tint to her. Is it taupe? Is it ochre? It's probably an ochre with a little bit of some type of red in there. A little bit of some red in there. But I'm not going to worry. I'm not worried about it at the moment. If I want to go back and do a glaze over the top, I can totally change the tone of it. We can totally make this into a different color. If when this gets done, it just seems off. But I definitely want to block in a few shapes so that we can get some good color going here for her. So we can see about what she's going to look like. And I'm using the ochre color, not necessarily because that's exactly the color that she is, but that is an easy color to use because it's straight off of my palette. Right, makes it super easy to use it. Let's see, this actually is going to come right down onto her head, isn't it? Well, this is going to come down here and come kind of right down around the corner here. Josephine, we're going to make you look really good here. Look at already, it's starting to get a little bit of life in it. This is her signature thing right here. Let's see if we can make this look kind of right. Her nose, that black mark right on her nose. So let's see, how do I have this drawn here? So when we picked up Josephine at the, I still remember this, when we picked her up at the pound at the Humane Society, if anybody has gone there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't gone there, you should go and spend some time with some cats there. They would love it. The staff will love you for spending time with the animals that are there. But we as a family go a couple of times a year regardless. And my kids have worked at the Humane Society before, or as volunteers to help out and whatnot. But when we got there, we did what a lot of people do, which is you sit down with the animals and you see which ones you like and which ones you don't like, and hopefully the ones you do like you, and if they don't, you've got a decision to make. Well, we sat down and I couldn't tell you how many cats that day, seemingly 100 cats. I mean, it seemed like a lot of cats that I went over and I picked up and I'd sit down and I'd hold them. And do they want to stay? Yes, no, maybe so. They want to jump and go somewhere else. Cool. Off they go. Let's go on to the next cat and see how this cat is. And then we go on to the next cat. All of it. That's all fine. That's all well and good. And it feels like we were there for an hour or so. And we could have been there for 10 minutes. We could have been there for 3 hours. How long we were actually there, I don't really know. But Josephine, and her name was not Josephine at the time, Josephine walked over to me and just kind of looked up at me and sat down, not really like a dog, but just kind of, looked up at me. And I picked her up, and she just kind of went, Like, oh. And I kind of went, oh, okay, I can't not. Right? I can't not. I gotta take her home. I gotta do it. She was so cute. Let's see, she's got some color like right in here, something like that. And then she's got a line that goes up this way. So if anybody's ever gone to the Humane Society or the local pound by you and you've sat down to visit with animals, oh my gosh, some of them are so loving. Cats will pick you, absolutely. And I couldn't not pick her, I promise you. There were about 6 other cats that I really liked, and her name was Oliwa, Oliwa, Oliwa. I think we still have the tag that she had on. And I was like, you're not an Oliwa, an Oliwa. You're just not. I'm changing that. And you're coming home, and I'm changing that. That's just kind of how it's going to be. And that's how it was. And so she became Josephine, and everything else was history. Let's see, she's got it. Let's give her one here, and let's give her another one of these. I'm gonna make sure this kind of goes the same way. Let's give her another one of these right there, like those, like tiger stripes up there, right? Something like that. My last cat, the captain, just randomly moved into your house. Well, that's how we got our chickens. They just showed up. So the captain just showed up and went, oh, by the way, thank you for keeping my house warm for me. If you could just, get me, find me something to eat, that'd be awesome. I very much appreciate that. It is kind of funny how they just kind of take over our lives, isn't it? Hey, my house. Oh, is it really? I'm not convinced that you're right about that, but I'll share it with you sometimes. As long as you keep my food dish full, I'll be happy to share it with you. Right, he was in charge. That's the name, the captain. There you go. That's funny. That's so funny. Pets are so weird. And I guess, right, that's kind of what makes them fantastic too, is that they're exactly like that. All right, Josie, I'm going to connect this. I'm going to bring this one down a little bit. There we go. You got a couple of stripes up there, Josephine. She's starting to get a little bit more personality going on here. I want to make sure these don't form a really hard line in the front here. I think you can start to see she's got some lines there. If you look in the reference, you can see those lines on her forehead. She's got a few tiger stripes there. Not maybe as many as a real tiger cat, but she's got a couple. So we'll give her a few in there. She's getting there. So it's a little burnt umber and a little yellow ochre. The mix of those two really is the only thing I'm using here. All right, I'm gonna go over. I'm gonna make sure I go over some of this pink that she's got here in her ear. She did have some pink in there, but I want to make sure we cover quite a bit of that. And then it doesn't look like it in that reference photo, but I'm going to give her a little color on the back side of that ear too. I'm going to let the black come up the back side of that ear. I'm going to connect it to the black that's down here, and that's going to frame in her ear for us. It's not, it's actually a little too much. Dab just a bit off of there. Better. Cool. All right, Josephine, you're getting there. You're getting there. Get a little bit of dark underneath your chin here. Those first couple of layers, she just really kind of looked a little bland. Now as we're getting a few more layers onto her, she's starting to come to life a little bit. Her head looks, don't look at the black up here. We'll fill that in. But I think she's starting to look like a cat. Starting to look, right, like she's got some depth and dimensionality here. I'm gonna warm this up a little bit. The almost no color here, but just enough to warm this. That neutral tint really cooled off her paw here, and I want to add in just a little bit of color to warm that back up. Right, can you see? It's not much. It's really not much. Just a little bit to warm that up. And as I'm using this paper, I'm wondering if this is not watercolor paper, actually. It doesn't feel quite like watercolor paper. It feels more, it has kind of a, it's heavy paper, but it's not holding the water quite like a real watercolor. Or maybe it's not Arches. That could be. Maybe that's the issue. The sizing isn't quite right for Arches paper. I have, Jacqueline says, I have 3 dogs now. My last kitty was only 3 when I had to let him go because he became critically ill. Ugh. Broke your heart. It would break my heart too. The woman who lives across the street from me, I don't know how old she is. She's a bit of an older woman. And she moved to this town. She and her husband specifically wanted to move in this town, and they moved here from somewhere else in California. Oh, I can't remember now. But she got here, and her husband became ill and passed, and so she got herself a dog. Cool. And her dog got ill and passed, and she got a second dog. And it got sick and passed, and I remember talking to her going, are you going to get another dog? Because, you know, it would get her out of the house, and she'd walk around the neighborhood with the dog. And I don't remember what the first one's name. The second one's name was Chubbs. And Chubbs was a cute dog, you know, super friendly and everything. And I just remember talking to her about it, and her saying, "No, I can't get another dog. I can't get another animal because if it dies too, it's going to break my heart, and I won't be able to take it." And I just remember thinking, "Oh my gosh, that's a horrible." I mean, it's a life choice, but I remember thinking, "Oh, how heartbreaking is that? That she feels like she can't get another dog because her last 2, it didn't work out with her last 2. So heartbreaking." And I'm going to end up getting a dog at some point. I know this isn't a part of the pets conversation right now. I'm going to get a dog at some point. I'm going to get a beagle. I had beagles growing up. I'm going to get a beagle, but I told my wife wouldn't get one until I retire, because I don't want her to have to look after it until then, because she's much more of a cat person than a dog person. So I've got a few years for that. Kenya, I have just one dog right now. He's a funny little guy. He likes to fake a limp so I'll rub his paw. After he gets his paw rubbed, he's suddenly cured. Kenya, what kind of a dog do you have? That's funny. That's a learned behavior right there. If you don't mind saying what kind of dog you have, I'll be curious to know. Zika says, I had a boxer in Austria 3 years ago. Oh, I'm still hesitant about getting another one. Heart is still broken. Oh, I get it. A miniature Aussie. Aussie. Whoops. Those are beautiful dogs. It's so funny. Oh my gosh. Animals, pets, animals. I think animals in general. Pets. Oh, just... I don't know how they do it. How do they do it? How do they worm their way into our hearts so easily? I don't understand. I don't know, but I know that they do. And thankfully they do, because they make our lives so much better. And that's also why it's so hard when things happen to them, when they pass, or we need to have them put down, or something doesn't work out. That's also why it's so heartbreaking. They work their way into our hearts and become part of the family. I mean, they are part of the family. If they didn't, none of us would keep pets, but they do, and they are. I have a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, wow, and a 9-year-old Havanese. I don't know what a Havanese is. Cavalier is 2 years old. Ow. I do know what the King Charles Spaniel is. Excuse me. I don't know the other one. I'm not familiar with that. Let's see. What can I do here? Let's do this. Let's make this a little darker here. Some hair on the bottom of her. Oh, that's not her arm, really. That's kind of her arm. Let's do this. That's all hair. This just became all hair in through here. So help to make this easier to see where her paw is. And yes, I'm getting away from the original image a little bit. I think that's okay. I hope that's okay, Josephine. I don't think she would mind all that much. It's getting away from it a little bit, but it's going to make the viewing of this hopefully a little bit easier. Hopefully a little bit easier. Let's see, I don't think I got that line quite right. Let's pull that back this way. There we go. Let's change that line a little bit. Yeah, and there might be a little bit of this that we need to warm up. That's gotten a little cold back there, but now you can see clearly that front arm sticking out like this. He's holding it in a weird spot. She was a weird cat, but fantastic. Thanks, Jacqueline. I just retired, and she keeps me going. Took all recommendations for the old people is get a couch potato dog. I didn't need a dog to do that. My pups are so sweet. I'm a senior with 2 lap dogs. Oh, there you go. Havanese came from Cuba and no longer exists there. Oh, wow. I had my wife's uncle. Is that right? I think, yeah, that's got to be right. Her uncle used to come out here on vacation every now and again. And he got himself a dog, which is great. He got himself a Borzoi? Borzoi. A Borzoi? Does that sound right? And Uncle Chuck. Uncle Chuck was great. Well, Uncle Chuck was fantastic. Anyways, he went to the pound and he got a dog. He did all the right things for all the right reasons. He wanted to get a dog because he'd put on a few extra pounds, and he wanted the dog to, get him up off the couch, and get him walking around and having to do some exercising and whatnot. And I don't remember what her name was. The dog. I don't remember what her name was. His name was Uncle Chuck. But the first year they were out here, she was like rail thin, right? Super thin. And Uncle Chuck had put on a few pounds, and that's okay. We've all put on a few pounds over the years. It happens. I totally get the desire to get a dog that helps, motivate him and get him to lose a few pounds. Well, the next year when he came out to visit, Uncle Chuck was the same weight. And the dog had put on 40 pounds. I'm like, Chuck, what happened? He was like, well, she got too snuggly and liked to take naps. Okay. Jacqueline, you said only a few survived that came over from Cuba. Havanese. I'm gonna look up Havanese, because I literally have never heard of that breed before, which doesn't mean much of anything. But I thought Chuck's story was funny. He gets the dog to help him lose a few pounds, and the only thing that happens is the dog gains the extra weight. All right, Chuck. Oh, look, there's Josie's face. Oh, when we get some eyes on Josie, she's going to look great. She's going to look fantastic. Oh, and this big black spot right on her nose. Uh-oh. Did anybody notice that? I haven't done that in a long time. I obviously dipped my hand in some wet paint. I got some over here. Let's see, I'm trying to think, how many dogs have I had in my life? I had Brandy. Brandy growing up. Brandy was a border collie. Or, I'm sorry, Brandy was just a collie. She wasn't a border collie. Brandy was a collie. And so I had her. And then we had Freckle, who was a beagle. Freckle dog, who was a beagle. And I had some little... There's a little tiny dog. I think we called that dog Megan. I want to say her name was Megan for some reason. I don't even know what kind of little tiny dog Megan was. Do we only have 3 dogs the whole time growing up for me? That seems low. But it could be. I had a lab. Kenny says I had a lab once that started gaining a lot of weight. I couldn't understand why until I found out my neighbor's feeding her leftover pot roast. Oh, that's funny. They're adorable and so funny. They love to do tricks and have hair instead of fur. Oh, and they have hair instead of fur. Oh, that's interesting. So it just grows and grows and grows. Interesting. All right, I'm going to... Josephine here is sitting on a big pile of nothing, right? Just a kind of a whatever. I'm going to... I'm going to put a little bit of a wrinkle in this, whatever she's sleeping on here, this blanket that she's sleeping on. It's a bit of a wrinkle here. Watch. You pull this edge out. That was too much water. Pull this edge out, pull this edge out. And if you do it right, that's going to look like a wrinkle right there where it's pressed down a little bit. Get a little bit by her ear. She's got another one of these right up here where her head is pressing into this. Let's make that one go a little bit longer, and this one go a little bit longer. At one point, I tried to learn how to paint fabric. Now that sounds a bit funny. I tried to learn how to paint fabric. So what I did, I don't even know if the videos are up on YouTube at all. What I did was I found my favorite sports team's jersey and painted it. And then, just did a simple drawing of it, simple colors. And then tried to make it look like it had creases in it. And by doing a technique similar to this, you can make it look like there are different lines and things going on inside this fabric. So all of a sudden, now it looks like she's laying down on something. Let's see. Beverly says, we rescued a brother and sister lab pit mix. They now are 14 months. There were 8 puppies in the litter, and we're just going to be put down by the owner because they weren't pure labs. Oy, oy, oy. Oh my God! And they're 14 months, so they're still getting bigger. Oh, Beverly, wow! You're gonna have some big, strong dogs there, but I bet they're fantastic. Wow, Natalie, hello, good to see you. Thank you for joining. Always glad when you're able to make it. I'm trying to paint a bit of fabric here. The darker I get my interior to this little line, I think the more it should feel as though it's indented. And need to leave some of the light and some of the dark here. It should give just enough texture on here to make it feel as though it's got some movement to it a little bit. Should be just enough. Now, the big question is, why am I doing this? I don't like backgrounds. This to me is a background. I don't like painting backgrounds. What am I doing? It's a great question. No, I'll do it for Josephine. I'll do it for Josephine. She's laying on a little blanket here. And then maybe a dark runner right there. And with any luck, I'm going to step back and look here in a second. Something's not right with this paper. This is either a weird off-brand of paper, or the temperature in here is really odd, or the sizing isn't right. I'm going to go back to my original statement. This isn't traditionally sized watercolor paper. I'm going to say this is like maybe book paper, not like fiction paper for a book, paper that is called book. It has a little different qualities than cartridge paper, which is kind of what printer paper is. A little different qualities than that, but do I want to do this? Let's see. Put a little bit of that in there. Maybe this is what we should have done. A little bit of something like that. Let's pull that out. Now everybody came to watch me paint Josephine, and now you're watching me paint a blanket that Josie's on. That's all right. Does anybody else have the problem where, and if the answer is no, something is not right, where it's summer like it is now, and your pet, your dog, your cat, whatever, wants to sleep exactly right next to you, as close as possible to you, and in turn it feels like you're sleeping on the surface of the sun because the animal is so hot. Does anybody else have that problem, or is that just me? Oh, there we go. Look at it. It totally looks like that little bit of neutral tint in there, I think, really's helped out with this looking like she's now on some kind of fabric here a little bit. I think let's take that off that way too. I don't know, something like that. Somebody said something. I have two Velcros right here. Went to bed at 1 a.m. working in there, sorting things out. Oh, Jacqueline, you're still unpacking. Yeah, still unpacking. Yeah, my dog is a Velcro dog. Oh my gosh. My problem right now is Shadow. It's not a problem. Shadow's fantastic. She's the new little tiny cat. Not new. Shadow's old. Shadow we got as a replacement for Josephine. So she's not new by any stretch, but I think we got her as a replacement for Josephine. I don't know. But I'm like, seriously? Do you have to sleep right here? Like all the time? Can you cut me some slack? Even with the air conditioner on, which I think is ridiculous that we have an air conditioner where I live, but even with the air conditioner on, holy cow, it's 10,000 degrees. It's always summer in Arizona. It's always summer in Arizona. Oh, that's probably true. Speaking of it's always summer, I don't know. I will readily admit I don't know what is kind of going on in the rest of the country. Is it still summer everywhere, or has it started to tail off a little bit? I know for a while it was blazing hot everywhere, and I have just stepped away from all of that. So I don't really know. I do know that it is clearly starting to feel like fall here. It is clearly fall here. I get up in the morning and it is chilly for sure. All right, I'm going to give Josie some dark eyeballs here. She's got some green eyeballs. And yes, I kind of know that I haven't painted the lids on her eyes, and her eyes aren't quite right. That's okay. I'm going to draw some lines that'll make it look like she's got the lids or the under part of her eyes right there. But I want to make sure we get some of this on here. Natalie said your boss says look like fall in Flagstaff. There you go. Yes, 80 at 9 p.m. last night. Oh my God, Dwayne. Oh. Jacqueline says, sorry, my Cavalier decided to text. That's funny. Michael, I had a 22-pound cat that always slept on my chest in hot Arizona. Oh my God. Oh. Hot as heck still in Colorado. We usually cool down at night, but not this year. Oh, JC, I'm sorry. Oh, it's it's weird. It never got super hot here in the summer, but we also never. It hasn't cooled off at night typically like it does. It's just starting to turn and do that now. It's this has been a really strange summer here on the central coast of California this year, and that's fine, but I feel for her. I remember growing up in Ohio, and I grew up in an old farmhouse, no air conditioning. Usually we didn't even have a fan going, right? It was back in the day. You didn't worry about it quite as much as you do now. We didn't have a fan going. I don't think my mother would have started a fan anyways. Really wasn't her kind of a thing. But I just remember if you had a sheet on your bed in the summertime, it was often too much. It was often way too hot with just a sheet, and I remember every day in the summer, usually rain or shine, sleeping with my bedroom window open. It was on the second story, and just I had two windows on the side of a house, right? 1, 2. I'd get kind of a little bit of a cross breeze. They were just open all summer. They'd be opened in April and they wouldn't close until September. It was just, I just remember it being so hot. Okay, cool. So, as we've been going through here, we're getting some great definition on Josephine here. I actually like the way the blanket is starting to look. It may not look perfect, but it looks like something. You can see that she's laying on something, which is exactly what I want. Kenny says, I'm in Michigan and I don't sleep with blankets, just sleep on top of the sheets. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I spent a few summers in Michigan, and I remember it being unbearably humid. JC says, I lived in Longmont area for 25 years, in Denver Metro since 2017. I wish it was still up there in many ways. I'm not sure where Longmont is. Longmont was crazy hot this summer. Wow. Oh, Jacqueline, your 20-pound cat. Do I don't remember. Do I have that right? 20. Your 22-pound cat was a Maine. Wow. They do get big. Maines do get big for sure. I had my cat Wolfgang that I mentioned. He was 20. He was a huge cat. He may have had some Maine Coon in him. I don't know, but he was a huge cat, and I think he was 24 or 26 pounds. I don't know. He was massive. His front legs were like you couldn't get your fingers around him. He was so big. Just this huge cat. But a gentle giant he was. Bugsy was huge. Bugsy was the name. That's a great name. Okay, let's see. I like where we're at with most of this, right? So we've got some stuff to do on her eye over here. Is that dry? Let's see if we can do a little bit of something over here. Let's fill this in. Give me a little bit of. I want this to be kind of a purpley color in here. I want you to be able to see some of the blue. I want you to be able to see some of that pink in there. That's probably pretty good. And then I want to come back to my green. Give me a little bit of this phthalo green. This is a much smaller brush here. Phthalo green, a little bit of gamboge. And I want to start darkening up her eyes down here. They're still wet. Okay, I can't do too much. Thought that was going to be much drier than that. Thought we would have reached a dryness level that we haven't reached quite yet. Put a little color on there and we'll come back to it. But she's starting to look better. So we've got some additional work to do over here. We can see a little bit of. Come on, give me some of these other colors in here. You can see a little bit of the area just kind of between her paws here. On this paw, it's a little darker, a little different color here, but just want to make sure we have this area defined in here. Okay. So what brush do I have? This is a 2. In this series, this is a 2. It's one of my smaller, I have smaller brushes, but this is a pretty small brush. And while I'm waiting for some of this other stuff to dry, I want to start flicking on a few hairs here and there. I can do this, you guys have seen me do this. I can do this way, or I can get the black pencil out and do it with a black pencil. But I think for Josephine, we're gonna do it with the pen with the brush here. There's a few flicks here and there. On both sides, just to extend that black into the other colors, right, and break up any hard lines that we have. I don't want any hard lines in here. I want to see a nice jagged edge on a lot of these. A nice jagged edge. Yep, and I'll do that right up her ear over here too, right? She's a fur. Let's say her fur grows out this way on this ear. Just some nice hair that sticks out. If that's not the right direction, it won't matter. It won't matter, because what you'll be looking for is you'll just to have that edge broken up, that little bit broken up right there. And we're going to come and we're going to put some white on there anyways, because we need some white whiskers and ear hairs and whatnot. JC says, remember when window AC got more available and usually only the parents' bedroom worked in the heat, most of them. So I get it. I grew up in Chino Lakes, north of Chicago. Humid. Oh. Josie has what we called a schmutz nose. Like she stuck it into something. I had a Calico. Christy, she also had a schmutz nose. The schmutz, I'm okay with calling it a schmutz nose. It's adorable. Is what it is. It's so funny. Jacqueline says, we had a whole house unit. A lot of good it did with all the humidity. A schmutz nose. When we moved, let's see, when my wife and I moved up here, the first summer we had moved up here, second summer we moved up here, the second summer we were here, it was blazing hot here. Blazing hot. And we actually went to Home Depot and got a room air conditioner, one of the ones that just is on wheels and you move it from room to room, and kept it for, I shouldn't say too much about it, kept it for about a month. Kept it for 3, whatever the return policy was. We kept it for that minus about 2 days. It was so hot. We kept it for that minus about 2 days and then took it back. And went, you know what? We decided we don't want this anymore. And I'll tell you, I don't even know if I've ever seen one since. No, that probably wasn't the nicest thing in the world to do. You're probably right. But at the time, my wife was pregnant, and I wasn't about to say, you know what, we probably shouldn't be doing this. Because had I done that, I may not have gotten out with my life. I'm just saying. Probably was one of the smarter things I did. Grew up in a neighborhood where only one house had central air. The mother never let the neighborhood kids into the house. Oh, that's funny. This sounds like the smartest mom on the block. She would have been having snacks and lunches and doing everything for every kid on the block had she let anybody into that house. Every kid around would have been there doing something. All right. I'm trying to get some color into her eyes here. I'll do a little bit of ultramarine here. Taking a little extra time. I probably wouldn't take this time if this wasn't Josephine. I don't know. I might. But because it's Josephine, I'm happy to take a little extra time and make her look a little extra good. Anyway, a little extra color in the eyes. I'm not even convinced, quite honestly, that we're going to see that. But I want to make sure we have a little bit of that going on. Okay, so the next thing I want to do before we go any further is I want to get in, right? She's got, I don't even know how to describe this. Sudike, that's terrible. Uh-oh. What's terrible? Sudike, grew up, Liza, wait a minute, Liza's here. Liza, hello. I don't know how that got past me. Welcome. I'm going to go to a slightly larger size brush, and I'm just going to try to do something similar to this, right, where we have some hair that grows out, but we see it in I don't know if that's going to work. All right, I don't think that's going to work. Now that I look at that, I don't think that's going to work. That's not what I want. Let's get that out of there. Oh, now I got a dark spot I need to cover. All right, let's just give her a little darker area right here. I was going to say let's make this look like, you know, she did have longer-ish hair. So, you know, you can see it up here, or I'll put the larger image back up, and you can see there are some areas where, you know, there are some folds kind of in her hair, and you can see where it, you know, comes apart. I think that application was probably not what I want to do for that, though. I think probably what I want to do, you know what, here's exactly what I want to do. Okay, I got it. I was on the right path before. Everywhere that we need to put a little hair, I'm going to put a little hair down here. And we've got some, I do like going off the sides here. Some hair there. Let's get like a little, this is kind of like painting grass. If you've ever painted little clumps of grass, this is kind of this is what my approach is going to be here. We're going to paint little clumps of hair here and there, and now I can't do it right there, but I can give her one right here, and I have to wait for that one to dry a little bit, but I can put some in here. So I have to gray this down a little bit. All right, and then we can give her some right along the outside edge. Little bits of hair here and there. Just to break it up a little bit. You guys see what I've done. Little bits of hair, little tufts of hair. I gotta wait for this center part to be done before I can get into that. Her eyes are still wet. I'm going to, what's in there? I'm going to put a little gouache on here. A little gouache. Whoa, or a big chunk of gouache. Whoops. There it is. And I'm going to attempt to do some whiskers and whatnot with this gouache, rather than utilize white gel pen or something like that. All right, so she's got some white lines here and there. That's too much. Let's see, Josephine. I don't know where these come out of, Josephine. Ooh! That's what I was afraid of. A warp in that paper. That Jacqueline says, Michael, that works. What the little bits of fur here works? I think it's close to working. How did Josephine? How did you got your whiskers? I remember all over the place. I remember them being all over the house. Is what I remember her whiskers being. I don't know how all over the place her whiskers were on her body, but man, they were all over the place in the house for sure. A little bit of white just around the edges. She was funny because, you know, I'm putting white on and defining an edge or two here and there with it, but she always had quite a bit of white hair everywhere. I mean, she's got so much black and orange and whatnot, but all throughout her fur, she also had quite a bit of white hair. It was always a puzzle to me why that was. Well, happy to that she did and whatnot. It was always a bit of a puzzle to me. Yeah, so this is the problem I have with white gouache is it dries thinner than I want. So I always feel like then I've got to go back and put a thicker layer on or something. Maybe if I just do it slower, it'd be a little better. Slower with a little bit more. A little thicker consistency. And I hope you guys can see. Oh, it did the same thing again. Twice in a row. That's not good. Josephine, we got to get that off of you. All of us make mistakes. Let's just chalk that up to a big mistake. Whiskers are going well. Whiskers play a role in balancing and communications for cats. Yeah. Nature is completely astounding and amazing. How and why nature ever developed the way it did, I'll never have any clue. But thankfully it did, because nature is completely fascinating and amazing. All right. Josephine, I think you're looking pretty good here. Is that dry enough? I think that's dry enough. I'm going to come back in here and give a few more grass stains here, whatever we're going to call these. A few more bits of grasses in here. Just little bits of hair here and there. So it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just got to show that there's some texture there. That's all I'm really trying to accomplish, is a little bit of texture. come on. I need a little bit more. Okay, I think I can live with that. Josephine, we got to fix your eyeballs though. Come on, girl. Let's see. Let's see if I can do this with a soft hand. I'm wearing my glasses tonight, so there's a chance I'll be able to do at least some of this. The nights where I don't wear my glasses, it's always tougher. I want to do a bit of an outline without just outlining, if that makes any sense. She needs to have that little bit of a line there that's going to set those eyes off from everything else, but not so much that it throws everything else out of whack. Let's get her pupils in here. And I hope you're not just looking at the top of my head. Are you guys looking at the top of my head again? Somebody needs to tell me to step back a little bit. Oh, there we go. Oh, look at her eyes. Josephine. You know what we need here? You know what we need here? You see, you can't really see any on the other side, can you? Couple of dots on here. All right, so I'm gonna get into a little bit of the self-evaluation here as I'm finishing this up. I don't think we're far from this now, but as I'm finishing this up. And I'm just going to say, for somebody who doesn't typically paint fur, a self-proclaimed person who is not a good fur painter, I'm going to say that that's not too bad. Right? I'm going to say this isn't too bad. Is it? Hang on a minute. I'm trying to move up and my chair is stuck a little bit. I'm trying to get a little closer. Is this perfect? Is this great? I don't know, maybe not. Is that okay? Yeah, that's fine. That's totally fine. It's not always about being able to paint things perfectly all the time, right? So much of watercolor painting is taking what you have and making something look right. I'm going to use this look right, and right isn't always, right is a loaded word. I will readily admit right is a loaded word. Right isn't always, or isn't specifically, it looks natural or it looks normal or it looks whatever. Right is whatever you want it to look like. That's what right is. All right, so you take something that doesn't always look right, but you make it look like it belongs, like it's something that should be there. And I'm still a little disappointed in some of these lines, specifically over there on these whiskers. So I'm just going to drop a couple more in there. And then I've got to wait for a second to put some highlights on her eyes, because I don't want her eyes not to have any highlights there. I want them to have a bit of a highlight. But in general, so it started off definitely kind of a hot mess. I'm betting it was a bit hard to see. Natalie says, a lot of watercolor painting is hinting at a subject and letting the brain fill in the rest. That's absolutely right. Patty, welcome, Patty. It looks good. Thank you for doing this. You're totally welcome. They look like cat's eyes. Thank you, Eliza. Dwayne says, looks great. So as I was saying, not that it has to look perfect or correct, not that it has to match. I'm trying to find it. Not that it has to match what your reference photo is. It has to look right for how you want it to look. But what I think is more important is that you get something that you think looks right, or looks like you thought it was going to look in your mind's eye when you sat down to paint, right? And or you do something that is going to challenge the way that you do your painting, right? I could come on here every week, and I have done it, and you guys know I have done it, and I could do a bird painting, and I'd be totally satisfied with doing a bird painting, and I think my bird paintings would probably turn out pretty well. But that's not always the best thing, right? I don't necessarily learn anything from doing the bird painting. The bird painting for me is something that's completely, totally enjoyable. I can just kind of relax and do it, but I don't necessarily become a better watercolor painter from doing a bird painting. I get a lot of enjoyment from doing it because it's familiar to me, and I have a sense of accomplishment when I'm done. But doing something like this where I've got to stretch a little bit, stretch sometimes a lot of it, and make something that looks like I would want to present it somewhere is often a lot harder to do. And I can learn a little bit from it, and I can figure out a little bit on what I wanted to do. As an example, where's my pointer? As an example, right, the reference photo has right up above Josie's shoulder and behind her head, there's a dumbbell back there. I don't know why there's a dumbbell back there. I don't want to put a dumbbell back there. There's actually a second blanket back there too. Well, I wanted to focus on the blanket that she's on. So everything from that back there just becomes whatever. Not worried about it. Kind of my standard in my standard background. But then I had to do something with the green here because it was just going to be a big green blob. Well, I had to reach back in the past and figure out how to do, some folds in fabric. All of a sudden, this might not be perfect, but it's something. It gives enough texture in here, and you can kind of go, even if you don't look at that reference photo, you go, oh, she must be laying on something. Your mind's going to go, what would you be laying on? You're probably going to be laying on some kind of a blanket or something. And you get that just from these few simple lines in here. Then I don't do hair and fur. I don't feel as though I do hair and feel all that well. So cool. The way I typically do it is I make sure I put some around the outside of what I'm doing. So I've got some of that around the outside. And then you saw my attempt over here to put deeper fur in here. Didn't work out. I don't care. Doesn't matter. I think you put a few little bits of fur in here at the right angle, your brain is going to look at it and it's not going to be overloaded with anything, but it's going to go, I get it. I know what that is. It's fur. It's just, and you're not even going to think about it. It's not in the format that you think it is, but that's okay. You adapt, you overcome, you think about what it's got to be like, and off you go. I'm going to put a couple of hairs inside just over here. Right? I want there to be just a little bit of something here. I want to accentuate the fact that she's got something going on right there. There we go. So those little bits of fur there for me, are taking the entire place of filling up fur. Just infer that there's some hair here. Throw in a little bit of fur here and there. I've got it around the outsides to break up that edge. So you know there's some fur that's growing over the edges of things. I have it broken up just about everywhere on here. And then little bits here, and it's going to suffice. Anybody who looks at this is going to go, cool, that's fur. I get it. Got to get the eyes right. Humans will naturally seek out the eyes of what they're looking at. It's intrinsical safety thing. Is that tiger looking at you or some other prey? It's a good point. And yeah, you've got to kind of get the eyes right? I don't know what right is exactly, but you do need to make them looking at a certain thing. If you make one pupil looking in this direction and this pupil looking in that direction, maybe that's the way your cat looks, but it's going to look a little bit odd. So you got to kind of finagle it and get them kind of going the right way. And then I think it's a lot easier to give some extra weight, extra color on the bottom of the eyes. And then you don't need to do much on the top unless you want to put a shadow line up there and then a nice highlight on there, and you can have some really pretty effective eyes. Eyes are the most important thing in portrait photography. Yes, human portraits, if I do it, it's going to be some kind of Picasso or something, because humans are too difficult to do. Humans are way too difficult to do. Our souls in our eyes. That's true. Okay, so that's where I'm at. I'm going to leave it here. You know what, though? I'm not. I got to do one more thing. Because I need to go over top of this black down here. That black should be pushed back. And if I don't have some color on top of that black here, it's not going to get pushed back. Right there. That's kind of underneath. Right? That's back behind her jaw here and behind her paw. But because black is such a strong color, that's hard to do. So if I put some fur on it, it'll push it back that little bit. Okay. That's what I've got. Awesome. Looks like Josie. Thank you, Dwayne. I appreciate that. Okay, one more week to go with this pet challenge, and then we're going to get back to something a little more reasonable, like, I don't know, vegetables or food or I don't know. No, but honestly, I'm having a great time with these. They're a challenge for me to do, and I like challenges. That's why I set these challenges up. And I'm having a good time with them. It's a little harrowing to think, do I know how I'm going to attack this, or why I want to do this a certain way, and is this going to turn out right? Especially to do that in front of a live audience is tough sometimes, but we'll get through it. Next week, probably, I don't know, it's either going to be Lulu, my pug, who's no longer around, or it might be another chicken. There's a couple of fish in there somewhere along the way too, and a rabbit. That's not going to be the rabbit. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll do something. Maybe I'll put up a poll and everybody can vote for what they want. Anyways, that's what I've got for everybody this evening. I want to say thank you for making my Wednesday fantastic, or at least the ending of my Wednesday fantastic. I want to thank you all for joining me here. I hope that you have a great rest of your evening. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I hope you're able to join me back here again next week when we do this whole thing all over again. Oh, sign it. I will sign it. I'm going to sign it. I'm going to sign it right here. Thank you, Dwayne. Now it is official. There you go. And with that, I am going to say thank you and good night. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.